Alright guys, welcome back to another Master and Apprentice LEGO review. Today we've got the brand new LEGO Star Wars set 75402, the ARC-170 Starfighter. This has 497 pieces and it retails for $69.99, so $70. You can see here on the box art, it comes with 3 minifigures and an astromech, so technically 4. This is kind of a Revenge of the Sith set because this is the 20th anniversary this year, 2025, of Revenge of the Sith. But there's no indications, like no special markers or anything like that, like last year for the 25th anniversary of Phantom Menace. So the only reason we can really tell is this set is, this clone set is from, we see Revenge of the Sith, but also the box art is a scene that we see in Order 66 Revenge of the Sith. You can see the ARC-170 chasing down Plo Koon's Jedi Starfighter, during Order 66. So there's a little nod to Revenge of the Sith, but other than that, there's no other indication of Revenge of the Sith. For the back of the box art, there's not much else going on. It just looks like they're in some sort of hangar bay, kind of showing off the different accessories and play compartments and just different play accessibilities in general. Otherwise, there's not much else going on, no other Easter eggs or anything like that in this side of the box. The first minifigure we're going to go over is R4P44, the astromech droid. I'm going to be pretty honest. I don't remember seeing this, but I'm pretty sure we have. Otherwise, they wouldn't give us a named astromech droid, and it at least wasn't on screen for a second. But which second that was, I couldn't tell you, honestly. It's just nice to get another minifigure other than R2-D2. It's kind of like a maroon, black, brown top. Otherwise, the astromech detailing is pretty, pretty basic. You can see it's more rounded. Sometimes they give the eye detailing on top. Sometimes it's really sharp and pointed, the circle and like the eye they try to put it on there. Or sometimes it's a little bit bigger. It's kind of what they've been doing recently. It's not like the Clone Wars style. So that lets us know it's not the Clone Wars ARC-170. It's more of a movie style based. I'm gonna do all 3 clone pilots at once because, to be honest, there's no variation besides their helmets. Both the legs, the body, and the headpiece printing and mold are all the exact same. You can only really tell the difference by the helmets. And I'll go by name first from left to right. On the first, we have Oddball. Then in the middle, we have Clone Pilot Jag. And on the far right, we just have a normal clone pilot, no name. On the left, it's kind of easy to tell because he has like this little small logo, small little emblem. It looks like a little weird ball shape, right? Oddball is a person that we've seen in both the movies and in the Clone Wars show, so he's relatively popular when it comes to clone pilots. Clone Pilot Jag is just all blue for the helmet, so that's probably the easiest one to tell. And then on the far right, the clone with just the red and orange, yellow printing on top of the helmet, he's just a normal clone pilot. So that's the only variation between any of them. If you look at the body and leg printing for all of them, it's the exact same. And if you go ahead, take off the helmet, it's all the exact same. So again, you can only really tell from the helmet. I don't personally mind this for 2 reasons. One, they're clones, so they literally are the same people. So what little variation is usually pretty much just on their armor. It's kind of how you can tell in the Clone Wars and movies. So that's okay with me. It's just nice to finally get some clone pilots and some named clones. Overall, I really like them. I think the leg printing is really nice. They've got some on the toes, just a general. They didn't just give them all white or all gray pants. I think that looks really nice. There's no arm printing, but none's really needed. And the back printing is pretty minimal. It's just what you would expect for basic clone pilot back printing. So overall, the clone pilots are really nice. For $70, it's really nice to get some named clone pilots and just a no-name clone pilot, because if you're going to buy this set more than once, you're going to want a couple of no-named characters. So before we get into the set, I did mention the astromech droid's head is brown, maroon. I'm colorblind, so Athen let me know it's green. So just so you guys know, it's green. That was my mistake. I have a hard time seeing with colors. So, but the actual set I think looks really, really good. But one thing to mention for sure is, compared to other ARC-170s in the past, this is a pretty big downsize. And we've kind of seen this with a lot of other clone sets. Most recently, the Republic gunship. It was a variation. It was the Coruscant Guard gunship, but it was much smaller than previous gunships we've gotten in the past. This ARC-170 is much smaller than ARC-170s in the past. I unfortunately don't have one built ready to go to compare, But if you look up pictures of comparison, and there's probably other YouTube videos on it, it's pretty small compared to it. I think that's unfortunate. But for what you get in this set, not compared to other ARC-170s, I gotta say it looks really, really good. The tiling and paneling on the front of this and the stickering, I think looks really, really sharp. The wings look really, really good. The engines and thrusters on the back look really, really good, along with the makeshift turrets. Overall, I just think it looks really, really sharp. There's not a lot of play features and accessibilities, but for what you get, it looks really, really good. The only thing to mention is here on top, there's kind of like an open gap. That's where your astromech goes. So I'll show that in a minute. But if you don't have it in there, it's just an open gap. So that's one thing to mention. Otherwise, other things are on the wings. You have these giant, like, I'm assuming they're like the blasters. They have like a shooter attached to it, kind of built in. If you don't have the actual shooting piece, I forget what it's called, it doesn't look too bad. But if you have it on there, you have this giant green piece sticking out, so it does kind of look a little weird. It's, I guess, just preference if you want to have it in there or not, locked and ready to go. But we'll get into a little bit more of the play features now. So you can fit all of the minifigures in. The one that goes in the very front, like the pilot, I think goes in probably the easiest. He doesn't necessarily have to have his hands a certain variation. They can be a little bit lower. He can lay back. He's the easiest one to fit in my opinion. The other two clone pilots are not as easy. You kind of have to have their arms raised a little bit higher because their seats aren't as slanted as much as the front seat. So you can get them in there and you can get it to close pretty nice, but you have to raise their hands a little bit more than the one in the front. The astromech fits in there pretty nice. Once you have your clone pilots in there, you can just put them on these little studs on top. You can see right there's two black studs, and then he just kind of fits in there. If I can get it in there. So you can see, once you get it in there, closes pretty easily. And then if we put the other clone pilot, raise his hands up a little bit. So you get him in there with his arms raised, he fits in there pretty nicely. And everything shuts pretty easily. And then it all looks pretty good. Once you have the astromech, that gap in the front isn't ugly. It fits really, really well. And you have all of your clone pilots in there nice and snug, and it looks really, really good. The stud shooters I mentioned earlier, you just push down. There's no mechanism to like a button or anything you press. You just push down on the back end, which that's all right. I don't think they needed to have a play mechanism for it. Now the wings are supposed to expand. If you've seen an ARC-170, they're very similar to the X-Wing in style where they have the two wings put together. But if you want to go fast or maneuver, you can go ahead and spread the wings, right? So there's two ways of doing it. You can obviously just do it by finger and hand, right? You can just close it, open it. And I think once you do it that way, you can kind of get it to open a little bit further, but then you do kind of have the chance of breaking it. So there's that to mention. And then on the back part here, this little piece right here, if you push it one side, it opens it. If you push it on the other side, it closes it. So there you go. You can just do it by hand. I think it's a little bit easier, and you can get the spread just a little bit further. But if you don't want to break it, you can just use that little slider piece back there. And then the ball turrets, they don't really have any play functions. They just serve for like aesthetics. They rotate pretty nicely, you know, as if they were in the movies as actual turrets. So those look really, really good. And overall, the rest of it doesn't really have any more play functions and features. It just looks slick. So that's really it for the ship. Again, it's kind of a downsize from years past. There's no like storage space or anything like that. The wings are much smaller. It just, I think, you know, it's unfortunate for a downsize, but that's kind of the day and age we are with Lego Star Wars. If we want sets to still be affordable, they're going to keep downsizing them. But for what you get in this set, not comparing it to ARC-170s in the past, I think it's pretty good. So there you guys have it. That brings us to the conclusion of this review. I kind of mentioned it multiple times throughout. If you compare this to other sets, other ARC-170s, especially from years past, I think you're going to be bummed out, especially since it's $70. It's not a cheap set. But if you compare this just for itself and what you pay for it, I don't think it's really bad. $70 isn't a terrible price compared to what other $70 sets we're getting these days. The minifigure selection is pretty good. I mean, I know there's not a lot of variation between the three of the clone pilots, but it's nice to get some named and no name clone pilots. The astromech droid is very nice, and the ship, I think it looks really slick. It's a little bit smaller, but I just think it looks good. The play functions and features are there. Overall, I don't think this is a bad set. You know, I wish it was maybe a little bit cheaper, but that's kind of with every Lego Star Wars set these days. That's kind of a given. You wish every set was a little bit cheaper because it seems like they're all overpriced at this time. So with all of that being said, I think I'm going to give it like a 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoy this set. I don't think there's a whole lot wrong with it besides nostalgia, right? It doesn't beat the other ARC-170s. But compared to itself, I think it's pretty good. Compared to a 2024 and 2025 set, I think it's pretty good. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments if you guys enjoy or dislike this set. If you guys enjoy or dislike our review of this set, and let us know which set you want to see for 2025 next. And with that, we hope you guys did enjoy this. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.